What's up, people? In this, fucking, yeah. In this video, we're gonna watch this. What is this? Is my mouse working now? Yeah, no food for 382 days. A man who refused to eat for 382 days lost 275 pounds. Okay. Yeah, somebody asked me to watch this video. It's only 10 minutes. Okay. Yeah, I guess we're watching this one. If you guys have any other recommendations for YouTubers you want me to take a look at, let me know. Leave me a comment.
Boy, the lengths people will go to lose weight is sometimes downright scary. I'm sure you've heard of those questionable diet pills, teas, and even body creams that supposedly help you burn fat. But one of the most dangerous ways to slim down is prolonged fasting, and one man took it to the extreme when he stopped eating altogether for over a year. Now, it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyways, and probably more than once, the following case should not be attempted as a way to lose weight. But it is fascinating nonetheless, as far as a story about what the human body is capable of. In 1965, 27-year-old Angus Barbieri checked himself into...
All right, sorry, I just want to point out one thing, or two things that I think is funny. Why did they make this guy's avatar look like a black woman, kind of? This looks like a woman, right? Who's black, I guess. Doesn't sound like a black woman at all. Is this like a joke or something? I don't get it. That's number two. That's number one. Prolonged fasting is one of the most unhealthy ways to lose weight. Okay. This is I guess mainstream misunderstanding of what fasting is, right? There's kind of a general rule of thumb that the more mainstream something is, the more dumbed down it needs to be, right? Because your average mainstream person, they think, oh my God, you don't eat, you're in starvation mode, you're going to destroy your metabolism. Like all of these kind of buzzword phrases that people will say and repeat without actually testing, or I don't want to say doing more research on, but really just experimenting with on their own. So can we begrudge this super famous channel that obviously is trying to appeal to I don't want to say the dumbest person possible, but let's call it the lowest common denominator, right? He's not going to try and say imagine all the extra work, how long this video needs to be if he's got to say well, prolonged fasting can be done in a healthy way, but it is oftentimes not done in a healthy way. That's not what this video is about. This is let's say it's not healthy, and here's an example of somebody who did it. I don't know anything about this, but damn, over a year of not eating, that's a lot. Anyway, so
7-year-old Angus Barbieri checked himself into Merrifield Hospital in Dundee, Scotland. He was just a normal guy, worked at a fish and chip joint with his dad, and perhaps a diet of fried foods was what contributed to his obesity. In any case, his weight at the time was 456 pounds. He told the doctors that he was ready to refuse food to lose weight, and they hesitantly agreed to monitor his progress. So, mind you, this was all very carefully medically supervised. At first, Barbieri wasn't planning on fasting for too long, and even to this day, most doctors agree that short fasts are more effective than long ones. So the physicians at Merrifield recommended that he didn't go more than 40 days without food. But days turned into weeks that turned into months. Barbieri kept on refusing food past the 40-day limit because he said he felt okay. He had his goal weight in mind and what seems like unbeatable determination to reach it. But that wasn't the only thing that kept him going. Again, that's where the doctor's help came in. For the entire duration of this unconventional weight loss journey, Barbieri took potassium, sodium, and vitamin supplements since he wasn't getting any nutrients from food. And he didn't refrain from drinks either, but the ones he had were very low-cal. They included mineral water, tea, and black coffee, although toward the end he started adding some sugar and milk. The vitamin diet seemed to be working all right, since Barbieri didn't experience any problems that would require him to remain in the hospital.
So I think that's interesting. He was essentially taking electrolytes and having coffee and tea and sometimes with a little bit of milk and sugar. When I fast, okay, this is oh my God, I'm not a diehard fasting person. When I fast, I have coffee, right? I might have a couple cups of coffee, or I don't really like tea, but if I don't have my cup of coffee in the morning, I'm not, the day is not off to a good start, and I got shit I need to do, right? So I have coffee when I fast. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Even if you're super fat, I don't really see what the big deal is about this. Also, is this what is this channel? Why are they talking so much about, oh wow, 28 million? Okay, so when you get this big, you guys can't see this, I'm in the way, but this channel has 28 million subs. Okay, when you get this big and you're appealing to, I don't want to say the dumbest people out there, but you want to create something that even the dumbest person in the world can understand, like a cartoon explainer video, you need to say these things. You need to mention that it's supervised by doctors, right? You need to say that it's not healthy, because if somebody tries this and they're an idiot and they fuck it up, then what are they going to say afterwards? They're going to say, oh, I saw a Bright Side video and I tried to do it and I ruined my health. And it's, number one, bad publicity. Number two, they can sue, right? I think, was there a disclaimer in this video? I don't remember. So nothing particularly surprising here.
He stayed there in the beginning just so doctors could keep an eye on his health, but he was given the green light to go home since his body was adapting to the hunger so well. One of the physicians said that patients usually had to stay in the hospital to resist their temptation to eat, but Barbieri had shown amazing willpower and spent most of the time at home. He only had to go to the hospital regularly to get tests done, and the doctors did, in fact, notice a very low level of glucose in his blood. Glucose is basically your body's energy source that it gets from food, and the low levels confirm that his body really was in starvation mode. But surprisingly, running on an empty tank didn't interfere with his daily routine, and he said that he felt fine.
Low blood glucose means you're in starvation mode. I mean, it's a bit of a stretch, but again, I think this is dumbed down for your average stupid person who doesn't know anything about health and fitness and doesn't care, and really just clicked on this. Why do people watch this video, right? Why is anybody going to click on this video and watch it? Because they're thinking to themselves in the back of their mind, they're like, I'm fat, I want to lose weight, I've tried all these diets before, nothing's worked. This guy didn't eat and lost a ton of weight, maybe I can do it also. So they watch this video to see if they can do it, right? Fasting for over a year, I think I don't know. It sounds like a bad idea. But yeah, I don't even know. It just sounds like a bad idea to me. So maybe it's actually a good thing that they're recommending that somebody doesn't do it. I just think it's extreme. I think, didn't he say in the beginning, doctors recommended that shorter fasts are better? I think that's a fair recommendation to make.
The only thing that Scott had to do was leave his job at his dad's fish and chip shop because, well, that would have been way too tempting. On July 11th, 1966, Angus Barbieri's headline-making fast finally ended. After 382 days, the now unrecognizable man had lost a whopping 276 pounds. He reached his goal weight of 180 pounds. He'd end up with a Guinness World Record for the longest fast known in history, 1 year and 17 days. By now you must be thinking, I'll bet he immediately wolfed down a 5-course meal after starving over a year. But actually, no, he didn't, and for good reason, too. That likely would have overloaded his system. So chances are a heavy meal would have simply come right back up. Barbieri had just one boiled egg, a piece of bread with butter, and a cup of coffee for breakfast. In his words, he really enjoyed his small, simple meal, and it filled his tummy right up. He also said that, apart from feeling a bit weak, he didn't have any major side effects. At the end of his fast, Barbieri was looking forward to a vacation in Spain and a gradual return to eating with a careful eye on keeping his weight stable. He slowly worked himself back up to a normal life with ordinary food and portions. The doctors were shocked by not only his unbeatable willpower, but also the unusual ease with which he lived without solid food for so long. But what really stunned everyone was that he was able to keep the weight off. From the very beginning, the doctors were especially doubtful about this factor. You see, most people who try extreme diets like this usually end up yo-yoing right back to where they started. That is, the body doesn't keep the weight off. But once Barbieri went back to eating normal meals...
All right, so I just think it's interesting how this is phrased, right? The body doesn't keep the weight off, right? Like this is some external, magical circumstance that we have no control over, right? The body doesn't, And I understand why they're saying that, but there's no mention of people's willpower and the conscious choices and decisions that they make that will cause them to gain the weight, right? There's no mention of that, right? It's just phrased in a very inoffensive way. Is that the point here, or do they just not believe that that's? Are they is this pandering? I'm not really sure. But one thing, oh my God, there's 5 more minutes of this. One interesting thing that I thought when I was watching this is that, the guy. It almost seems like just one day he woke up and he was like, I want to lose the weight. I'm going to fast. Done. That was it. A light bulb went off in his head and he just decided, and that was it. It wasn't a struggle for him. He didn't have to it doesn't seem like it was hard because he made the decision and then he was just done. Right. And I was thinking about this before. I'm not really sure when I kind of got introduced to this concept, but I call it being activated. Right. And the idea, whether it's with fitness or making money or whatever it is, you never can really tell who is going to become activated and when that's going to happen, right? In England, they call it being switched on, right? But the idea is that, I saw this a lot when I used to work in kiosks, right, with Israelis. We get a lot of new salespeople coming in, and they run the range of like tall, short, skinny, fat, man, woman, shy, outgoing. And you never know who's going to be good and who's not going to be good. You can kind of tell sometimes like who might be better at first, but over a long enough timeline, anybody really has the potential to be good because there's not a lot of like moving parts you need to pay attention to. And you're frequently surprised, right? You'll see guys or girls come in and you're like, oh my God, this guy's going to crush it, or girl, like she's, super hot. She's got a great body, like beautiful smile, fabulous hair, and she's just awful, right? She's terrible, like just like god awful. And then you see another girl, like she's got BO, like bad teeth, and like just she's fat, right? And at first she's really bad, and you're like, oh, she's never gonna make it, And then one day she just starts crushing it, right? Like blowing everybody out of the water. So like you never really know, and I guess it's kind of the same with this. You never know like who's just going to wake up one day and just decide to lose all the weight and keep it off, right? I don't know. I haven't been able to predict that yet.
He only gained 15 pounds. Angus Barbieri eventually moved to England, where he settled down and started a family. Although he holds a pretty incredible world record, it's worth noting that Guinness has since stopped recognizing such extreme fasts so that people don't try these sorts of dangerous stunts themselves. But from a medical perspective, the case is quite astounding. How on earth was this man's body able to go so long without food? Well, in 2012, Australian author and science commentator Dr. Carl Kruszelnicki gave a lecture on the radio where he explained the chemical processes that allowed Barbieri to survive without food for over a year. According to the doc, after 2 to 3 days of starvation, energy starts coming from the body's fat stores. Some fat molecules can be transformed into glucose, that fuel I mentioned earlier. In theory, the human body can live on these fat stores until they run out. But after that, you get into really dangerous territory because it'll start feeding on the muscles. And although these fat stores can keep the body going, that doesn't mean the person will be in good health. That's why Barbieri was given supplements and monitored very carefully. Still, scientists believe that this starvation mechanism has deep biological and evolutionary roots. You see, our ancient ancestors didn't have the luxury of a fridge chock full of food or a grocery store right around the corner. They had to go days without eating when they were hunting or looking for edible plants. These fasts could be even longer during winter, probably lasting for weeks. And the body adapted to these conditions. During long periods of time without food, all internal processes, like breathing and heart rate, became slower, so that the body doesn't use up and thus require as much energy. But winter, no matter how long it was, wouldn't last for years. Once early humans would start eating regularly again after the rough periods of little or no food, then all those processes sped right back up. People who start fasting often notice that at the initial stage, they have an unusual clarity of thought, almost as if their brains are working more efficiently. Scientists have an evolutionary explanation for this too. It was during hunger periods that a malnourished brain had to think of a way to get something to eat. If the brain shut down when the body stopped getting food, humanity would have never survived. It sounds quite reasonable, then, that we're not supposed to have unlimited access to food all year round. There could be a natural scheme of fasting and eating that's not only safe, but also beneficial for our health. Still, it's hardly possible that our ancestors could survive without any food for any longer than a few months. And that's why Angus Barbieri is such a medical anomaly. To this day, there's no scientific proof that fasting for longer than 40 days can do any good.
Okay. The reason I stopped it just now is because of what he just said, and this is like a pet peeve of mine. There's no scientific proof that says that there's any benefit to fasting for more than 40 days, right? When most people hear this, and I've said this a lot, but like I'll just say it again anyway. When most people hear this, what they think is that fasting for 40 days won't do anything for you, right? That's what they think. When you hear that, that's what you think, right? Like that's kind of what it sounds like. But if you look at what he actually says, that's not what he means, right? That's not the literal translation of what he said. What he said was that there is no scientific evidence that says that there's any benefit to fasting for longer than 40 days, right? All this means that he didn't say there's no benefit, right? He just said there's no scientific evidence that shows that there's a benefit, which means they haven't done any studies on it. That's all. There could be a benefit to it. They just don't know because there's no like scientific studies that meet certain criteria that came to the conclusion that it has any benefit. Because okay, fine. I'm not saying there is a benefit. I think if you weigh 500 pounds, this is something I just don't know enough about. Like I'm thinking of the fasting fat man, right? And he looks like he's doing well, didn't eat for 5 months. I don't know what he looked like before, but he's like alive and seems coherent and apparently lost like 200 pounds in 5 months, okay? So to say there's no benefit when there's clearly a case, at least one, that has shown a benefit is, legally the safe thing to do because, obviously this channel doesn't want to lose anything because of, how successful they are. But is it like actually true? Probably not. Like you have to understand that like a lot of these like people that essentially have a lot to lose, right? Whether it's a person or a company or a media outlet or whatever, a lot of what they do is based on them not getting in trouble for the things that they say, right? This is so basic. This is like an explainer video that talks about like tells a story and gives like scientific evidence about its points, right? So it's not like you can't get in trouble for this. This is not like profane in any way. It doesn't like promote any sort of strange opinion. How many disclaimers are in this about fasting maybe not being healthy? A lot. But it's just important to consider the fact that just because a scientist or whatever says there's no scientific proof that blah, 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 there's no scientific evidence that fill in the blank, that doesn't mean that fill in the blank does not work or does not achieve whatever aim that the people are claiming it achieves. Okay, all it means is that there's no evidence. Like no scientists have like gotten together and studied it. All right, that doesn't mean that it's like not a thing. Okay, does that make sense?
In fact, there's more proof that it's extremely harmful. Although those doctors back in the 60s were willing to help this guy on this dangerous path to his goal weight, or perhaps they felt they really didn't have a choice since Barbieri had told them he was going to fast with or without their help, it's highly unlikely that such a thing would happen today. And that's because there are so many safer options when it comes to healthy weight loss. Doctors nowadays can set patients up with a nutritionist that'll draw up a diet and exercise plan for safe, gradual weight loss over time, thanks to long-term lifestyle changes. That is, starving oneself is certainly not the way to do it. But we can see the case of Angus Barbieri's record-breaking fast as proof that the human body is a fascinating mechanism, to say the least. So, what ways do you think are the safest when it comes to losing weight? Let me know down in the comments. If you learned something new today, then give this video a like and share it with a friend.
So if I had 30 million subscribers on my YouTube channel, I'm just wondering, like, would I give like watered down advice like this? I'm not really sure. I don't know. But I guess, and again, it's not their job to like understand this stuff, right? What is this? This is like Bright Side. It's like a science channel, right? I'm assuming. Yeah, 13 tips on how to survive wild animal attacks. All right. Wow, that's a popular video. Damn. So again, it's not their job to give practical advice. Okay, this is entertainment, right? If there's like some scientific facts, I guess, sprinkled in there, then I suppose there's some benefit to that. But this is for people who are like bored to like pass 10 minutes and think that like watching this is somehow better than watching some stupid like teeny bopper trash because it's somehow about science, which I guess you could say that's true because there's some element of like actual like real world application in this. It's just unfortunately providing, I don't want to say misinformation, but it's allowing people to draw the wrong conclusions from incomplete information, I guess. That doesn't even really sound good. Yeah, anyway, I don't know. Just like at the end of the day, just try it for yourself. If and again, I don't know enough about fasting at like over 300 pounds or even over like 250. Like I don't know. I've never been that fat. I can't even really like give you advice, I guess. Based on what I do know and what I've seen from actual human beings who have done it, it doesn't seem like it's that big a deal. But don't sue me if you try it and fucking kill yourself or something. Anyway, if you guys have any other videos, recommendations, let me know. Leave me a comment. Peace.